I'm a bit miffed about hearing the phrase white privilege. Now, if I go around the streets of Sydney or Melbourne or the major cities in Australia and I go around the major cities in America, I see a lot of Anglo-Saxon white folk living on the streets. But one thing I don't see is Chinese and Indians. So I don't know when people say white privilege gives you some sort of position above other colours people, it doesn't really make sense when you see how successful Chinese and Indians are, and when they move to white societies. Instead of complaining about whiteness, they just get on with their lives to make money. That's what's important to them, is making money, regardless where it comes from or how you get it. They're into making money. That's the be all and end of all of their being, and makes them very, very successful because they don't mind competing in the field of money. They don't mind competing in the field of business. And when people don't mind competing in the field of business, it rules out all the idea of privilege. They make their own privileged position, because there are plenty of black people in America who become extremely rich, and they've got a privileged position within the society, black or white. So I just wanted to just a very short video on saying that if we're going to complain about privilege, can I complain about Chinese privilege or Indian privilege? They seem to do very well. So they seem to do better than what I've done. I've tried my best, but I'm not a businessman. But these people are very good acumen at business, and prepared to work long hours, and they're prepared to stay out of jail by not committing crime and by living within some sort of rules of behaviour. They seem to be able to not only flourish but end up with a very sort of successful life, regardless of their colour. They take advantage, in other words, of the benefits and privileges that are within the Chinese and Indian community. That is, they encourage each other by having a sort of they're competing against each other, but at the same time there's camaraderie and they encourage each other to do well. And I don't know if that's the same anymore in the West. I don't know if we encourage each other to do well, or they try to put people down for doing well because you've been successful, saying you've been successful not through hard work but because you're white, and that gives you a privileged position, is an extremely naive and narrow view of what privilege is. Yes, the Queen and the Lords of England and all those people in the upper echelons, they surely got a privileged position. But anyone else in the lower income aren't privileged at all. They're struggling now to keep the roof over their head, to keep the heaters on in the house in winter, and put food on the table. Being white doesn't give you any privilege whatsoever when you've got a sort of when the economy is failing like it is because of inflation. We can do a video on inflation and explain it a bit better than it's been done by mainstream media. What doesn't want to place the fact that raising interest rates like they are doing is a one-act clown, and it's not a joke. Now that in itself is inflating the cost of rents, inflating the cost of mortgages, and therefore people must put the price of goods up to be able to take in enough money, because devalued the currency by doing that. No matter what currency the currency is in regards to international exchange, when you exchange your currency in a place where the interest rates have gone up, and your mortgages have gone up, and your rents have gone up, when you exchange your currency, you get far less for your work effort. For every dollar you make, you're paying a bigger percentage out on your rents and mortgages, and that inflates all the rest of the product of productivity. Anyway, there you go. No such thing as white privilege. There's privileged whites, yes, put it into context. There are privileged blacks all through Africa, through America. There's privileged blacks, there's privileged Chinese, and there's poor Chinese as well, and there's privileged Indians and poor Indians. And there's privileged French people, there's privileged Germans, there's all sorts of people who are privileged in their country within their own community. So this privileged white thing is really some people are speaking and just paraphrasing what others have said and not thinking it out very well, or they suddenly don't understand how the world works. You work hard, you're dedicated, you have an orthodox attitude towards your family, so you keep your family intact. Husband and wife try to get on through thick and thin, and therefore they can grow their capital. When so many people can't stick it out, can't stick relationships out, they've got no chance to develop their capital nor raise their children in a way that gives them the privileged understanding of how capital is made. So there you go. It's all a matter of perception and perspective.